Hi, welcome back. This is week three of our 10-week series. And so today we'll be reviewing much of what we've been working with for the first 2 weeks. In addition, we'll be introducing some new movements. So we'll be working with the legs, we'll be working more with some prone variations, as well as some additional oblique work. So as always, I want to encourage you to make sure that you use your modifications and use your variations and really listen to your body. Remember from our last week, I was talking about we want to make sure that we're stabilizing before we mobilize, meaning I want to make sure my body can withstand this position in a stable position or a non-moving position before I start to add any additional movement. I like the idea that a baby never learns how to walk before they first learn to stand. They never learn to crawl before they first just get into a quadruped position. We need to take that mentality and philosophy when we start to move with our exercises as well in order to really ensure that we're absolutely effective. Let's begin. All right, welcome back. So Lainey's going to take us through some standing warm-up here. So we'll start with some flexion and extension. Soft knees, neutral pelvis, neutral spine. Inhale, extend up and back. And allow your pelvis to come forward. Exhale, fall forward. Awesome. And then rolling yourself up with a strong core. Feel your spine stack. Wave your body back as your pelvis comes forward. Exhale, fall. No more flat back. No more leaning with the head. Lainey's going to do 3 more, and I'll welcome you to do the same. Make sure you're breathing, moving mindfully. And then after Lainey has done 5, she's going to face you, and remember that lateral work that we did last week. She's going to do the same thing again for part of our warm-up today. Perfect. So Lainey's going to face you. She's going to open her feet to what I call an A-frame, a little bit wider than your outer hip, but definitely not a straddle. Toes are forward, legs are engaged, pelvic neutral. So ball will come over to one side of the hip, and then when you're ready, palm face up. Inhale, hip initiates, side bending. And then exhaling, lift with your obliques. So now Lainey's going to add that bent arm movement. And so when she's ready, inhale, press your hips so you're not just collapsing. And then exhale, pelvic floor strong. 3 more on this side. Pressing through your opposing foot. Pay attention to what's lifting you. Imagine you're floating up rather than being pulled up. Nice. Really being mindful, making sure we're not hinging at the hip, but really moving sideways. So a really big IT band stretch and a really big TFL stretch. So all that fascia and tissue down the side of the leg and hip. So after she's done 5 on this side, she's going to flip over and do the same thing on the opposite side. Ball starts anywhere from your wrist or palm, and then she's going to roll. Relax the top shoulder. She's going to pull up with a bent elbow, honoring that rotator. Press the hip. Noticing which side is tighter. This is such great work to help start opening up the pelvis and the hips, that when our hips are tight, we're finding that our back is tight, our shoulders are tight. So we're really looking at this unitard of our body being as healthy and supple as possible. So once she's done 5 on this side, I'm actually going to encourage her today to go back to her tighter or weaker side and do an additional 3 to 5. So I'll leave that up to you. All right, here we go. Awesome. Really emphasize that hip, and then rolling back up slowly, and then again, and then rolling back up slowly, soft shoulders, and reaching. Inhale, breathe into your lung. Break up all that tight tissue between your rib cage when you inhale. Awesome. Great, thanks Lainey. And so now she's going to turn sideways and review neutral with you from a side position. So again, we're lining up our feet to face forward. We're not necessarily using our big toes as they can have bunions and such on, but it's really trying to feel like the center line of the foot is facing forward. They're underneath our hip sockets. And then pelvis is in neutral. So we're feeling pubis bone and hip bones parallel with the front wall, honoring that lower back curve, and then relaxing the front rib cage down. Feeling like our shoulders are in their sockets, but our upper back is very broad. It's not pinched, And it's also not winging. And for many of us, we have so much funky stuff going on up there, so really paying attention to our core can help our shoulder girdle immensely. And then finally, feeling the head is neutral and the neck curve is definitely in its natural curve. So not a projected chin or overly tucked chin flattening out the cervical spine. Remember again that we're going to find this position in lots of other different positions, sideline, quadruped, supine, and prone as well. Thanks, Lainey. All right, so slowly come down to the floor. And so now Lainey's going to place the ball behind her back, and if she needs to, one between her knees. Planting the feet, sitting nice and tall on your sit bones, let's add that little pelvic tilt. So exhaling, just a gentle little tilt, contract the pelvic floor. Arms come out in front or gently under the knees. Inhale, prepare. Just take an exhale, hold here. Nice, and then inhale, bring it back 45 degrees. Let's just hold here and remember our firing patterns for our core. So as a reminder, we want to make sure that we're working from the inside out. So when we're feeling that contraction, we're feeling pelvic floor, we're feeling transversus first, that deep intrinsic core, multifidi in the spinal area, and then also rectus obliques and also erectors along the back body. Now, if your back body is weak, you're going to feel your back muscles. Make sure you notice the difference between what's pain and what's actually just working those muscles. We need to develop our back muscles. They are a part of our core. One more big breath, and then lifting through your trunk. Exhale, float up slowly. Take a moment and breathe. And then we're going to go through those arm variations, and we're going to add a new arm variation today that's focusing on the infamous obliques again. Awesome. Set yourself up. Exhale that little tilt when you're ready. And then inhaling, feeling yourself peel back, keeping a very co-contracted, strong core. We'll work with up-down. Inhale, lifting the arms up without shrugging the shoulders, and exhale, lowering the arms down. So Lainey's going to keep track and do 9 more, and I'll encourage you to do the same thing. Inhaling, lift, and exhaling, lower. If it's more comfortable for you, feel free just to continue, and when we stop, you can stop. Inhaling, lifting, and exhaling, lowering. Remembering, though, she's only going to lift her arm, one, as far as her shoulder is going to allow her, but also as far as her trunk is going to allow her rib cage and her shoulder girdle to stay stable. Breathe wide into your side body on the inhale, and then feel that deep core contraction on the exhale. You're finding that earthquake. So that little shake, that little quiver that you're noticing when your arms lift up. Now this is not the same kind of quake as you'd feel, let's say, in like a standing warrior pose. We have this ball behind us and we're really trying to localize in on that deep core. Awesome, so finishing up with your 10. And once you've done 10, bringing the arms back down in front, take a breath in a moment, and then exhale, bring yourself back up slow. You can rest over the legs if you need to, or do a little bound angle, whatever is most appropriate for you. All right, we're going to keep moving and grooving here. All right, sitting nice and tall on the sit bones. Exhale, little pelvic tilt. Initiate. Inhale, ride it back 45 degrees. Keeping that connection between the green ball and your body. Now angle the arms to a comfortable position, and we're going to work with an open close. So inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing. Making sure she's not becoming overly kyphotic. Keep going when you're ready. Or overly arching, the arms that are moving too wide. So inhaling, opening. And then exhale, really feel your obliques, like you're holding your obliques in your hands. 7 more. So Lainey's going to do 7 more. And after her 7th one, she's going to pause and then lift on the exhale. Nice. Keep breathing and continue to work with us. Nice and slow and mindful. Inhaling, opening, and exhaling, closing. Really visualize this part of your body, the obliques, the transversus. There's that sweater effect. I'm buttoning the sweater that's 2 sizes too small towards my midline. Literally hug the midline of your body, and that ball between your knees can be a great reminder. Perfect. Now this time come into a nice little bound angle. Give yourself a moment. Take a breath. Really try to focus on relaxing your legs so there's no strain. Relax through the back. Breathe into your back muscles. Breathe into your kidneys, your lower back. Give yourself that nice release. And when you're feeling ready, join us again. So this next moment we're going to chat just for a brief moment here, and we're going to work with the obliques. Now when we think about internal external oblique, and we're going to add a little bit of a rotation, I want you to really focus on keeping your pelvis and your legs absolutely steady. So that's where a ball between the knees is going to be really helpful, because the legs won't splice, and sometimes we're focusing so much on the oblique we don't realize that our legs are literally wobbling everywhere. The more stiff we are in our spine and our spinal muscles, the less rotation we're going to have. So please don't think that you have to rotate farther to feel more effective. You have to work within the capacity of your body. And as we start to really work intrinsically more and more through the weeks, you're going to find that the rotation increases over time. So just be patient with your body. All right, setup is exactly the same. So inhale, nice deep breath. Exhale, little tilt. If you want to watch first, I'll have Lainey just do kind of like a demo one. Deep breath in. When she's ready, she's going to lean back, keeping that tilt. Now, she'll work with her left arm. So I'll show you two different variations. She's going to do a reach back, pull back, look back. So inhale, reach back, pull back, look back. Now freeze Lainey for me. Notice how she's opening her chest and turning her trunk, but not turning her hips. Her arm is following the action of her core, and so are her eyes. Now on the exhale, contract back to center and press the arm, keeping a nice lifted heart. There you go. So no rounding. Let's do one more towards them again, Lainey. Inhale, reach back, look back, pull back, and then exhale, coming back to center again. And then I'll have Lainey come back up, take a moment, so we're just going to chat just for a bit. Thanks, Lainey. So when we're working with this oblique twist, really make sure that you're not rounding through that lower mid-back so that we're not sinking into our chest cavity. So a lot of times people will do that because they're tight in the torso in order to feel like they can get further back. So I want to encourage you that the arm is an extension of your oblique, and you're just going to go as far as your trunk can rotate. Lainey's going to show you one more variation with the arms that I really like a lot too, and it's called genie style arms. So sitting nice and tall, she's going to add that little tilt, and now slowly bring her arms up and come back. Now she's going to cross forearm over forearm, and her arms can only go as far as her torso will allow. So inhale, turn to the left, reach back, good. Exhale, rotate back to center. Let's do one more that way just so they can see. Inhale, and then exhale. Inhale, stay at center, and then exhale, float back up slowly. Good. What did you feel like, Lainey, was the difference? Do you feel like you really were forced to move in your torso more in this one? Mm-hmm. Okay. So just as a rule of thumb, feel free to go back to that genie-style arms or work with genie-style arms. Today I'm going to have Lainey use genie-style arms. When I meet with you guys again at week 4, I'm going to have Lainey do the pull back. But it's really about where your body's at. If you've been working with me on YouTube a lot or just in regular classes and you've done that arm sweep and you feel effective, go for it. But really make sure you're stable in the hips and really make sure you're moving from your trunk, that you're not just yanking your arm and not actually turning your torso. We don't want to miss out on this really great oblique work. Okay, so sitting nice and tall. Add that little tilt. So when she's ready, inhale, recline back. And then genie-style arms, keep your elbows off your chest. Lainey's going to go consecutively 5 times towards her left. So inhale, look back, turn back. Exhale, wrap it back to center. Nice. Inhale, look back, turn back. Exhale, back to center. Keep your legs steady. Inhale, look back, turn back. Exhale to center. Nice. 2 more. Inhale, look back, turn back. Hug this leg in. Exhale, back to center. Last one. Inhale, look back, turn back. Exhale to center. We're going right to the other side. Here we go. Inhaling. Lainey's going to do 5 here. And then back to center. So 4 more. So she's trying to stay really steady on the green ball. She's really working hard to keep her hips steady. If you have a tighter lower back, your lower legs are going to be wanting to go everywhere. Remember, less is more. Think about where you're working from and start from there. Soft shoulders. Soft face and jaw. Challenge your eyes. We look forward way too much during the day, so really get that eye rotation in. And after 5, you're at center, and then exhaling, bringing yourself back up. Take a little rest forward. Think about which side was weaker or a little bit more challenging, maybe stiffer if you felt more symmetrical in strength. Which side has less rotation? Go back to that side. We are doing 2-to-1 ratio. So Lainey's going to set herself up. Add that little tilt on the exhale. Inhale, recline back. Add genie-style arms today. Keep those elbows lifted. And when you're ready, Lainey, Nice. So inhaling, she's really trying to focus on her rotation in her torso. She's going to do 4 more. I'll welcome you to do the same. So inhaling, no neck tension. Genie-style arms will also keep you from pulling or yanking beyond what your torso rotation, your multifidi, the muscles in between your vertebrae connecting them, all the erectors, the muscles down your spine, can actually allow you to do. And then at maybe 3, if you feel like, okay, I'm really losing it, that's your brick wall. I want you to stop there and then come back up to center. Great. Once you come into bound angle, Lainey, release your back. Really open through your spine. Take a couple breaths for yourself. And then slowly roll up, and Lainey's going to line herself up for some sideline work. We'll be doing both sides, and yes, we will be doing 2-to-1 ratio today. So remember the stacked position or the staggered. And we're going to start with a hover. So hand is going to go to the bottom side of the head. Top and that side of the neck stays nice and long. Minimal pressure in that top arm. And I just want to note, you are going to feel some tricep work, especially if your obliques are really weak, but this should not be the only reason why you're lifting off the floor. If it is, I want you only to practice the hover and hold. You're just not ready for the lift and lower. But I want to mind you that you knowing that and staying with just the hover is going to be way more effective than you forcing your body to do something that your muscles just aren't ready for yet. That misfiring effect again. All right, hover and hold for 5 breaths. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, just release the elbow. So a nice checkpoint would be Lainey to say to herself, okay, how far have I progressed? Can I actually take my top hand off the floor for a moment? A good sign that she's starting to build some really good stability in the oblique. She's going to go 2 more breaths. I'll welcome you to do the same. Nice. Thinking about that inward contraction. And then after her last one, lay it down, stretch it out. Awesome. Just opening up the oblique, opening up the rib and hip space. Awesome. And then she's going to come back up, and we're going to work again. I'll encourage you 3 to 5. We'll do 5. You do what's right for you. We're going to work with that lift and lower. I'll review the breath again because it can be confusing for people because a lot of this breathing feels backwards, but really it's just more effective breathing because we're using our body the way it's designed to. So we're going to inhale, prepare, exhale, lift. Inhale, lifting, and then exhale, holding. Inhale, lowering, and exhale, holding. So we'll come down to the floor and we'll start together. 5 again. If you feel 3 or 2, listen to your body. Feel free to go back to the hover and hold and just hold the entire time with us. Here we go. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, release the elbow. Inhale, float up a few inches. Exhale, hold. No pushing the head. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. I'm going to pull Lainey's elbow back. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Nice. 3 more. Inhale, lift. Open neck. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. You're doing great. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. We'll do 1 more. Inhale, lift. Relax your shoulder. Exhale. Inhale, lower. Stay with me. Exhale, release it down. Stretch it out. Nice job. Again, we're looking for space between the rib and hip to really give your side body some space and stretch. Breathe into your top lung. Relax your top shoulder. Nice. You can just flip over, but Lainey's going to flip sideways for you. Awesome. Remember again, if this was her bottom hip, we're never putting the ball on the hip line. It is more in that fleshy cavity, so just make sure you're lining the ball where you need to be. For some people, if you're working at home by yourself, not to obsess about a mirror, but it may be helpful to lay a long door mirror, the lengthwise on the floor so you can see your alignment, and then get rid of it, because I really believe in mentally being in your body rather than obsessing about the way you look in a mirror in exercise, because you lose that mind-body connection, but it can be helpful for alignment at times. All right, so 5 breath hover. Here we go. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, just release the elbow. Nice. So Lainey's going to keep track of her 5 breaths, so you can just stay along with Lainey. Good checkpoint. How well am I doing? Can I start to just fingertip to the floor like a spider? Can I actually take the top hand off for a moment? So am I progressing in my oblique strength? So keep going. Again, there should be no gripping or cramping in the legs. After Lainey's 5 breaths, she's going to slowly drop it down. Take a moment, stretch it out, feeling that space again. You'll notice how I'm constantly giving you just these little moments of release to help you rehab your body and recover. You should feel awesome after these sessions with me. You should feel energized, upright, strong, alert. You're adjusting your car mirror up, and then you may notice that core contraction or core effect a few days afterwards, but it should never feel like it's lasting for days and days and days. Then that's usually a sign you've done too much, so I'll encourage you to back off. All right, here we go. Now that lift and lower 3 to 5 rounds. Here we go. We're going to start the same way. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, release the elbow. Inhale, float up a few inches. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. This is 2. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Inhale. Exhale, hold, contract. Inhale, lower. Exhale. Inhale. This is 4. Exhale, hold. Soft top shoulder. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Last one. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, release it. Stretch it out. Think about the side that's weaker. Remembering again, we're not looking for identical symmetrical because ideally it won't happen until you are absolutely doing equally things on both sides of your body through the day, which most of us just won't because our life is just not like that. But what we want to try to do is, again, bridge that gap so we can get as close as possible within about 5% or so that your body is just feeling so much more aligned and so much more symmetrical, and you're going to find that you have a lot less pain during the day as well. All right, your weaker side. Here we go. Lainey, I know she's going to stay here. So here we go. Deep breath in. We're going to hover and hold 5 breaths. So release the elbow. 5 breaths. So inhaling through the nose and exhaling. You're doing great. Soft shoulder, soft jaw, open neck. Almost like you have this big woolly scarf on both sides of the neck. Nice. Lainey's going to go about 1 more breath here for herself. She's doing a great job of keeping her legs rooted. I'll encourage you to do the same thing. And then drop it down, stretch it out. Breathe into your top lung. So really try to emphasize opening up all of the intercostal muscles in your rib. They're so bound down and sticky, and they really should be mobile. All right, top arm comes back up. Here we go. Line yourself up. Top leg is rooted. Shoulders are soft. We're lifting and lowering 3 to 5 rounds. Remember, this is our second time. Modify as you need to. When you're ready, inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Get everything strong. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. We're not pushing. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Lainey's going to do 3 more, and I'll encourage you to go with her. So a checkpoint would be, can I do this without my arm's assistance? So that's really the checkpoint to how strong your oblique is and where the progression is. Don't get frustrated if you feel like, oh gosh, I can't do that. We're not there yet. We're just building true core strength from the inside out. Nice job. So once you're done with your last one, give it a good stretch. Nice job. I know that 2-to-1 ratio really mentally has to push us because we feel like, oh my gosh, I really have to go there. I can't believe it. All right, nice job. Roll onto your belly and then just sit back onto your heels for a moment. Give yourself a nice stretch. Maybe reach your arms right and left, just giving your obliques a little bit more length in addition to what you've already done. Perfect. And then Lainey is going to roll onto her back and place the ball under her sacrum and then a ball between her thighs as well. Awesome. So I'm going to add an additional ball between Lainey's ankles because we have it available. Use what you have at home. And ultimately, 3 small mini balls is really only an investment of right around $30, $35. So what's a $35 investment in absolutely amazing core work? All right, so neutral pelvis, she's going to work with that hip rocking again, that infamous hip rocking. So she's going to tip her hips on the inhale to one side, and then exhale, using her oblique back to center. Watch that bunny tail. Inhale, tipping. And then exhale back to center. So she shouldn't be seeing her feet swinging side to side. She should also not feeling her hips kind of wiggly. We really want to feel as though our obliques are like handlebars on a bicycle, controlling that bicycle. It's not a big movement, it's a very small one. So inhale, tipping, just enough, and then exhale back to center. Never let that marble roll off of your table. And then exhale back to center. Inhale, tip, Exhale. Inhale, tip. Exhale. Let's have her go one more. Inhale, tip. And exhale. So now I'm going to have her go right away to her weak side. 3 to 5 more. So inhaling, tip. Exhaling, center. Really think about it. Soft shoulders. Inhale, tip. Exhale. This side's really improving for you. Inhale, tip. It's a mind game too, so try not to get frustrated with your body. Again, 3 to 5. The second you start to feel hip flexor, neck or chest work, you're done. That's your quota. You're now using the wrong muscles. So again, I want to encourage you, please at that point stop. Awesome. So actually, you know what? We're going to keep the ball between your legs. I'm just going to have her drop her legs, take a moment and breathe, because we're going to work with a lift and lower. So nice breath in, nice breath out. Pelvic neutral, exhale, contract and lift. Nice, give the balls a nice squeeze. Let's just take a couple breaths here. Stability. You can challenge yourself. Robot arm, arms to the sky. These are just checkpoints. How am I progressing? How am I improving? How am I increasing my core load and my core capacity? Awesome. She's going to drop a few inches. So now when she does a double leg drop, remember variation, go back to the single leg. She wants to feel no hip flexor pain, but the movement is from her hip flexors. So inhale, lower, or her hip socket, I should say. Lower your legs down, keep 90 degrees here and here. And then exhale, reel your legs back up. Notice she's dropping like a quarter of the way. Inhaling, lowering. You should not feel your lower back pull. Exhaling, lifting. Keep a nice, even engagement. Hug the center line. Inhale, lower. Breathe into your lungs, not your belly. Exhale, lift. 3 to 5. Let's do 2 more, Lainey. Inhale, lower. Nice. Exhale, lift. Control that ball underneath you. Inhale, lower. Soft, relaxed upper body. Exhale, lift. I'll remove those balls for you. Drop the legs down. Maybe extend the legs out and just do a nice hip rock side to side to release the hips. Give yourself a couple really good breaths here. Breathe into the lungs as widely as you can. And then when you're ready with Lainey, you're going to roll onto your side again. So lift up your hips, roll onto your side, line yourself up with the back edge of the mat. This time we're going to work with the legs. So a little bit different than we did before. And she's going to line herself up with her bottom elbow directly under her shoulder. And her bottom palm either face up, face down, fist, whatever works best for her. Stacking the hips. We're going to try to keep the bottom rib lifted. So this isn't like, oh, I get to sag onto my bottom rib and shoulder now that I have that ball there, which most people do, especially in some Pilates leg side work. We're not really focusing on this, and we're just focusing on this crazy height in the leg. So I want you to stay lifted in the rib. The bottom oblique is firing just as much as the top oblique is. Top shoulder is relaxed. You can even bring your hand on your hip if you wanted to. I'm going to keep my hips stacked and my legs parallel with each other. So really, it's almost like you're balancing on the pinky edge of your toe and your bottom heel is slightly lifted. Because the heel is more narrow than the ball of the foot, we actually tend to sink slightly back. So just something to think about. So when she lifts her leg, she's just going to demo a lift for me. Notice how her leg is staying parallel. There's no rotation in her thigh. It's almost like you're internally rotating to lift your leg up laterally and then lowering back down again. So she's feeling outer line of the glute, IT band TFL, so all of that tissue and fascia along the side of the leg, as well as the bottom oblique. So they're kind of working in tandem. We'll try for 10. If 5 feels more realistic, then go for 5. All right, so staying pressed out of the bottom shoulder, keep that bottom rib cage lifted, neck is sideways. Deep breath in when the lift happens. And then exhale, imagine squeezing an orange between your legs. Exhale, pelvic floor engages. Inhale, lift, kick the ceiling with your heel. And then down slow. Nice. Inhale, lift, and exhale down. So Lainey's going to do 7 more. Inhale, 7, and down. Make sure that hip does not roll back. Inhale, 6. So you should feel the outer hip line. Do you feel that by keeping your hips stacked? Good. And this is 5. If you're in the hip flexor, you're almost likely to be rocking back. So I want you, again, to feel that outer leg line. Keep breathing. And again, imagine hitting the ceiling with your heel rather than that pinky toe. Good. Keep with your breath. Are you feeling that nice balance between the oblique and the hip? Awesome. Soft top shoulder, nice long neck. And just keep it slow and mindful. Doesn't mean that you're wimping out. Sometimes slower means you're actually working harder. Awesome. Great job. All right, so now Lainey's going to flip over to her other side. It's not that the legs and the glutes are bad muscles, but rather many of us, because they're such large muscles and they're so much further to the surface, they're easy to grab at. So we never go deeper. So I really want to encourage you to go deeper into the body and then work to the superficial muscles. And for a lot of us, what that means is we have to slow down. Okay, so Lainey's going to bring her elbow in just a hair to my finger. Perfect. Lifting up through the rib, nice and open through the neck. Hips are stacked. Remember, again, balancing on kind of that pinky edge of the foot line. When she's ready, inhale, lifting the leg. Imagine pushing up out of the bottom oblique simultaneously. Exhale, squeeze the orange between your legs. So 9 more. Inhaling, lifting, and exhaling, lowering. I'll be Lainey's eyes, but what you might want to do at least once or twice through your practice is peer down at your leg. If you have uneven muscle recruitment, it's very common when you lift the leg to shoot forward or to shoot backwards, especially if muscles are too tight or overly laxed or overly strong. So make sure that leg is directly beneath the hip so you're feeling that outer seam of your pant really contracting and working. Does that make sense, Lainey? Awesome. I'm going to do a little rotation for Lainey on this leg. Yay, there we go. Keep with your breath. Inhaling when you're lifting, stay lifted in the bottom oblique, really important, and then exhaling, lowering, and engaging. Crush the grapes between your legs. Nice. So Lainey's going to finish up with her 10. Awesome. And then which side do you need more work on? That infamous 2-to-1 ratio. If this is your side, you can stay here with Lainey. If not, flip it over. I'll give you a second to set up. As a reminder again, elbows under shoulder. I'm pushing out of that shoulder socket. The ball is underneath the oblique, but it's not a scapegoat for you just to kind of hang out. Oblique and hip and leg work in tandem. Here we go. Inhaling when you lift and exhaling, contract. Nice. Inhaling. So Lainey's going to do here, this is 2, she's going to do 8 more. So when she lifts, she's not feeling as though her whole top oblique is collapsing. And that's because she's staying lifted in the bottom oblique and using that ball, yes, as a support, but as a reminder more than anything to keep a nice neutral spine. Good, lift up even more through here. Awesome. Yeah. And so now really work hard to not collapse that bottom rib when you lift the leg. So if you feel like on that second round, 10 seems to be a lot, and it might, I want you to cut it down to 5, cut it down to 3. At least reintroduce the movement to the weaker or lesser side, even if it's just for a few rounds. Awesome. So when you're ready, you can roll onto your back again. And just give yourself a little knees into the chest, which is just fine with me. Maybe a little hug. Excellent. And then when you're ready, green ball goes underneath your sacrum. We're going to work with a little stability in the beginning and then the single lift and lower again. Yeah, so neutral pelvis, pelvic floor contracts. Remember, we're starting from ground zero every single time. Knee sits over the hip. We have a nice neutral pelvis. Isolate the knee and the ankle joint, flexed position, no hip flexor pain. If you're feeling hip flexor pain, subtly internally rotate that femur head ever slightly so we can get more in the pelvic floor and transversus and help that psoas not to work so hard. All right, so we're going to alternate or work one side and then the other. It's up to you. I want you to do 5 on the right, 5 on the left. Inhaling when you lower one leg. And then exhaling like a springboard inside your core, lifting again. Nice. Inhaling, lowering. And exhaling, lifting. Great job. Inhaling, lowering. And exhaling, lifting. Excellent. So 5 on one side and then 5 on the other side. And then after those 5 and 5 for a total of 10, toe touch down for a moment. Take a break. Breathe. And then rise back up, very steady, very stable on the exhale, and then go back to your lesser side for additional 3 to 5. Awesome, great job, Lainey. Really steady in the hips. If you're starting to feel unsteady or unstable, I want you to vary it down. I want you to lessen the repetition. Bring it down to a more comfortable variation. Comfortable yet challenging is my mantra often. And again, some of it requires us to restructure our brains because of what we've always been taught. So give yourself a stretch, and then you'll join Lainey for that 2-to-1 ratio again, welcoming your weaker side. If you need to, leave the opposite foot down if you feel a little fatigued or you feel as though your body is misfiring. So you're going to work 5 more. Nice job, Lainey. Steady. Remember, the floor is not the goal. The goal is to stay steady. Lainey's doing a great job. She works with this movement a lot. Okay, so now we're going to work with 3 different movements. We're going to work with the rocking. We're going to work with a figure 8, which is going to be a movement we haven't done yet, and also that leg circle. So when we do the figure 8, I want to imagine in your brain that you're drawing the figure 8 in your pelvis, not in your legs. So it's going to be more of probably a mental game for most of you than actually feeling like you're physically doing anything. What you'll notice is a lot of these really intrinsic movements are really frustrating. You're probably like, I hate this, I don't get it, I don't like it, because we're not connected in our body and we're not used to moving all of those little tiny body parts, which really should be moving, and we're just using the big, large, bulky muscles or body parts, and I call it moving in chunks versus moving all individually, and that's what we're trying to do. Bridge that gap, make that shift. Okay, so neutral pelvis. And so when Lainey's ready, she's going to bring her legs up. And I'm going to bring these balls between her legs. Again, if you don't have anything, you can roll up some towels and tape them up, or a 4-inch foam block, or zip up those legs together nice and tight. So she's going to work with that kind of tilting again, front to back. So inhaling. No, we're going to come back to center, and we're going to tip front to back this way. It's okay. So inhaling, yep, and then exhaling. So now it's not a leg movement like it was in the beginning. It's a pelvic tilt. Inhaling, tipping, just really little, and then exhaling, coming back to neutral. If we kind of grab at all the wrong muscles, it's like a rubber band snapping, and we kind of snap into a lordotic, kind of rounded out position. And I just want her to arch a little bit, and then really feel those internal muscles pull her back. Can you feel that internal work pulling you back? Awesome. Good. I'm going to encourage her to do 4 more. If you feel like, whoa, this is really a lot, then just hold and breathe and brace and be in your tabletop. Awesome, Lainey. This is again a good example of why we need to breathe into the lungs and not into the belly. After your 4th one, just slowly lower the legs down, pause, take a moment, because we're going to come right back up. All right, so nice breath in, nice breath out. This next one is figure 8, so it's one you have to really think about, so we'll see how it goes. All right, nice engagement on the ball. It's not a leg movement. It has to happen in the pelvis. So I want you to imagine, Lainey, drawing a figure 8. It's almost as though the circle of the 8 is around the knees. So it's going to be inhale, initiate 1/2 of the circle, and then exhaling, coming up and through, circling around to the other half. So you are moving your sacrum on the green ball, okay? You are moving your hips on that mini ball, but it's very controlled. Is that going to make sense? Awesome. So she's done 2. She's going to do 3 more for a total of 5 in this direction, and then she's going to do 5 in the other direction. What you'll notice is that you almost always intuitively circle towards your strongest side or your dominant side first. That's okay. And then she's going to circle back, which would probably be her weaker or more challenging side for that figure 8. What I hear feedback from many students is one direction, mentally they totally get, and then they go the other direction and it's like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So just be patient with yourself. So inhale to initiate the first half of the figure 8. Exhale to complete that wrap around. Are you noticing a difference going one way versus the other? Awesome. If you need a break in between each direction, feel free to give yourself that. And otherwise, you can just continue to that opposite side. This is a great one because we're really almost like tying a bow tie in our core. And it's a great way to really get into those tiny little intrinsic muscles. Awesome. So once you've done 5 and 5, take your time. Lainey's going to finish up. She's in a toe touch down. Take a moment and breathe. I know she knows which side she needs to go and do a second side on. So when she's ready, strong core. That coming in and out of the movement is part of the movement. So now 3 to 5 more towards that weaker side. So keeping a nice hug on the center line. My pelvis is steady, but that doesn't mean it's not moving because the figure 8 is in the pelvis. It's that idea of tying a bow tie in your core. But most of you, if you haven't figured out already, that these little teeny movements are the most challenging. And that's because most of what modern day exercise is based off of is really big, obvious movements to try to get us sweating and moving the fastest that we possibly can. So mentally we're thinking we're getting results, but really it's not really serving our everyday life function. I don't know about you, but I want to be 70 and being able to control my bladder and being able to get up and move around freely without a wheelchair. Are your exercises you're choosing to do leading you towards that? Awesome. So slowly lower down. Now I'm going to remove the balls for Lainey. Maybe she'll just drop into a little bound angle, give herself a little break. And we're going to work with that leg circle. So if you remember from the last few weeks here, we were working with that leg circle. We're going to do the same thing again and really try to focus on that leg movement. So pelvis is neutral. She's going to lift her leg up. And again, we're going to stay with the bent knee position. We'll progress through the weeks. We'll show you some different variations. 5 one way, 5 the other. So inhaling, circling, exhaling to complete. Now remember again, you can circle out and then straight up. So if you're having some hip socket discomfort, just do a half circle or a half moon, or you can go for that full circle. So depending on your hip depth, we all have different hip surfaces. Some of us have more shallow, some of us have more deep. If you're someone with more of a deep hip socket, you may notice more clicking and popping, or you may notice that that full circle is more uncomfortable. Really steady in the pelvis, so 3 to 5 one direction, and then 3 to 5 the other direction. Make sure you focus, because you see the knee with your eyes, but I want you to feel the rotation happening in the socket. So again, you're turning or stirring your cake batter with the bottom of the spoon rather than the top of the spoon. Good, so use your breath, soft jaw, inhaling, exhaling, really strong, mindful breathing. And then after her last one, she's gonna lower down, very mindfully, bring her leg back up on the other side. I'm using my core to lift my leg, she's thinking, and then 3 to 5 rounds on the other side. I would much rather have you be stable than be way too mobile and wobbly. So again, 3 to 5, think about it. Really keep that other hip nice and steady. There you go. It's hard. You have to really think about it. It's a small movement. Again, 3 to 5. Awesome, Lainey. Great job. So Lainey's finishing up with her opposite round, and then she'll bring that leg down, and I'll encourage you to do the same when you're ready. And then you're going to go back to your lesser side, which side means more work for myself. Steady pelvis. Exhaling, contracting. I feel flawless with my leg lift. And she's going to do an additional 3 to 5 each way. Nice, nice and steady. Think about it. If you're thinking about your shopping list, or you're thinking about what you need to do with your kids, or what's going on at work or at home, you are not in your body. You cannot expect your body to work optimally if you're there mentally. I want you to transfer yourself onto your mat with me right now. Nice job, Lainey. So once you've done your 3 to 5 each way, for that second set, that 2-to-1 ratio, drop it down, stretch it out. If you'd like to, you can remove the ball out from underneath you if that's more comfortable, or get that really great length in the back. And then when you're ready, you're going to roll over onto your belly and place the ball onto your chest. So Lainey's, yep, she just did it. Awesome. She's going to lift up her legs, shake out her thighs, make sure they're laying absolutely parallel. There's no rotation. And then nice neutral pelvis, root your pubis bone down. Perfect. Remember that prone lift we did with the elbows bent, hand over hand? I'll have her go to that first, and then we'll go right into cactus. So deep breath in, chest stays open and wide, strong core. It feels like the pelvis is tilted up, pubis bone down, hip bones up, so we can stay rooted and stay strong in our front core. Even if your flesh is still resting on the floor, that doesn't mean that the internal strength is kind of falling out. All right, deep breath in, exhale, lift. So exhaling, soft shoulders. Just take 5 breaths here, Lainey. So deep breath in, she's not overly contracting in the glutes. They're active, but the pelvic floor is active first. Nice. You should feel your back muscles, okay? But there should be no pinching or pain. Nice. Deep breathing. Breathing wide into your rib cage and lungs. And then lowering down. She's going to open her arms to a cactus. Now remember again, if we're really kyphotic and rounded in the upper shoulders, the elbows will tend to pull back rather than lift up. So we're really trying to open and stretch through the chest as we re-sculpt through the traps and through the upper back rhomboids, and as well as keeping a lot of strength in the lower lumbar. All right, deep breath in, root your pubis bone. And now exhale, lift. Nice, back of the neck stays long. Let's just hold here 5 breaths. So inhaling through the nose. So imagine as though you're Pinocchio hanging from strings from your elbow, from the top of your hand. So it's a lift up this way. Awesome. Deep breathing. Again, focus on breathing into your side lungs rather than into your belly. Not an easy thing. Stay with it. Nice. With all the rounding we do during the day, it's nice to have some chest opening and some upper back, really positive work here. And now lower down slow. Awesome. So now I'm going to have Lainey do a little checkpoint. She's going to remove the ball out from underneath her. And I'm going to throw that out to the side. Perfect, thank you. And she's going to come back into the same cactus arms position. And I'm just going to have her checkpoint how she feels when she lifts, how effective she's been working. Root the pubis bone, pelvic core contracts. Now nice deep breath in, exhale, lift. She should not feel her legs spring up off the floor. If that's you, you're using too much lower body to try to compensate for a lack of back strength and core strength. So she should be noticing a lot of good healthy strength through here. Lower back and neck are long. She's going to open up the back of her neck, looking straight down. And she's lifting through the tops of her hands, really feeling recruitment through here. Let's just hold her here for a couple more breaths, which I know she's really happy about. Inhale through the nose and exhaling. So coming off the ball can just be a great reminder, again, how effective am I, how well am I working? Nice, and then slowly lower back down. Take a breath for yourself. You can turn your head to one side if you need to. But I want you to focus on breathing into the muscles in which you've just contracted. One thing you'll notice is it's much easier to direct your breath to an area that you've recently tensed or contracted. And then as those tissues soften, it's like a balloon. It just is inflating so beautifully. Awesome. Press back onto your heels, Lainey. Give yourself a little stretch out. So open up through the back, relax through the shoulders. So a lot of really nice healthy space here. And we're actually going to go back into a sideline position again. For now, we're combining the leg work with the upper body work. So we're working oblique and IT band. So she's going to lay sideways. I'll give her her ball back. Everything applies in what we've been doing in sideline work or lateral work so far. So now this time, she's going to be down. Nope, yep, right there, perfect. She was right, I was wrong. She's going to make sure her hip is stacked. She's in one long line, feet are flexed. So as she lifts, it's not big, I want to mind you. She's going to lift simultaneously her upper body and her leg. So we'll just do a little demo for you. Lifting and then lowering down. Nice. So she's going to lift and lower down. So now this time, I'm actually going to have her really break down the breath. We're going to move a little slower this first round with you this week. She'll inhale, lift everything up. Exhale, hold it all. Inhale, lower everything down. Exhale, hold it all. Okay, so let's set ourselves up, Lainey. Stay stacked. And we'll do 3 to 5. We'll do 5. You feel do whatever you're comfortable with. So deep breath in. Exhale, just come up and hover. Good. Inhale, lift like you're folding. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. If you can hover, exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Keep that forward rotation. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold one more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, release. It's harder to go slow, wouldn't you agree? To hold that, stretch the top side body. Noticing again, her leg is not going high. Okay, the goal is not the ceiling. The goal is to feel your side body contract. All right, so you can flip over to the other side. Lainey's gonna do the same thing. Line up the ball. Remember, this is where we're moving from. This is where we're moving from. Try not to power into those bigger muscles. You have to start asking yourself, am I really serving myself just to achieve the movement? And the answer is no. All right, open front body, nice long neck. We're not overly pushing. We're slowing it down. So inhale, big breath in. Exhale, hover and hold. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, hold, breathe. Inhale, lower it down. Exhale, hold, breathe. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower it down. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift it up. This is 3. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower it down. Exhale, hold. We're on 4. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Last one. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, release it down. Remember that 2-to-1 ratio. I'm sure you're loving that right now. All right, 3 to 5 on your weaker side or lesser side. Please do what you feel like you can stay the most effective with. Do not just push through for the sake of doing it. All right, inhale, prepare. Exhale, lift and hover. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. You're doing great. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. That was 3. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lift. And we're pulling these leg back. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Last one. Inhale, lift. You can do it. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, stretch it out. You deserve it. Nice job. And then swing the top arm around. And now flip back over to your opposite side just so you give this side a break. You just did it double. Sorry, lady. And we're actually going to have Lainey switch the ball now for between her ankles. So she's going to actually rest totally sideline now. And so she can take, that top arm either out in front or alongside her ear. Now, one thing you want to mind is if you have really tight upper back, a lot of kyphosis, you're going to need a head support. You're going to find your head is kinked sideways. Please then set a head pillow or a folded towel between your arm and head so the neck is comfortably sidelining. So from here, she's going to create a little bit of a mouse house. You can see my fingers right in front. She's going to keep that oblique lifted and active. She's not just saying, oh, I can drop into the floor because I'm there. Top shoulder is relaxed. Obviously, always the ultimate goal. Can I minimize the amount of extra additional support? Make sure the ball is between your ankles. And again, that top leg is almost rotating forward. We're going to work with a nice little adduction, lift and lower as she hugs on that green ball. So it's not a big lift. Make sure your legs don't shoot forward or back. When she lifts the legs, she has to actively pursue the bottom oblique. So deep breath in, and now deep breath out. Lift the legs, hold on that ball. Inhaling, and now exhaling, lift a little bit. There we go. Inhale, hold. And exhale down. I flipped the breath. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Nice. Lower down. I guess I really haven't. It's a pretty steady breath here. Lift. Inhale. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. I'm making you work a little slower here. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. I'm going to check with her oblique. She's doing really great. She's going to continue with this breath for another 4 to 5 rounds. So inhaling, lifting. Exhale, hold, hug on that green ball. Take advantage of that. Inhale, lower. Exhale, hold. Top shoulders relaxed. Good. Inhale, lift. She's doing an awesome job. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower. I'm going to swing her legs back a couple inches. Yeah, this isn't easy. Again, if you're in your mind, you're thinking higher, 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 you're going to struggle. So just be very realistic with this being a really small micro movement. Hug against the ball between the legs. Get some adduction going between the legs. Nice, Lainey. Finish it out. Nice. All right, I'll take that ball for you. And then you're going to flip over when you're ready to the opposite side. So again, we're working with a slower breath this week still. So we're working with that inhale, lift, exhale, hold, inhale, lower, exhale, hold. As we progress through the weeks, we're going to start changing the breath and start making you work a little bit harder, a little bit quicker, but first we have to build those muscles from the inside out. I'm just going to check Lainey's alignment. She looks great. Remember, the legs are not pulled forward. We're working that true outer hip and that adduction. Inhaling when you're ready. Exhale, just hover it. Nice. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, hold. Inhale, lower it down. Exhale, squeeze on the ball. Nice. So this is 1. And I'm going to encourage Lainey here. This was 2. She's going to do 8 more. And I'll encourage you to work with Lainey as well. So a review of breath. Inhale, I'm lifting. Exhale. Every time you exhale, hug on that green ball and remind your oblique to lift. So if you can maybe kind of pair up certain things with each breath, you're going to find that you can kind of help smooth out all those rough edges. Lainey's doing a great job. Soft top shoulder. Again, if you need to, head support. She's doing amazing. Feet are flexed, legs are active. And trying to minimize as much as possible the rolling between the ankles. Here we are putting a non-flat surface between the legs, which is going to help all of those little muscles fire just a little bit more effectively, which is what we want, the tiny little nooks and crannies that we constantly are overlooking or bypassing. You're doing a great job. Excellent, nice job. And so when you're ready here, you're going to switch over to your weaker side. Is that the side for you, Lainey? Okay. So Lainey's going to stay here, flexing your feet, 5 to 10. As you're getting tired, we're at the end of our practice today. Please be realistic about what you're capable of. All right, here we go. So when you're ready, inhaling, lifting, exhaling, hold, hug on the green ball. Inhale, lowering, exhaling, hold, hug on the green ball. I'm just going to check Lainey's alignment when she lifts. She's a little forward. There we go. Awesome. Great. So she's going to lift when she's ready. Yep. Checking with that bottom oblique and then lowering down. Again, 5 to 10. So this is 4 for Lainey. You going to go to 10? Okay, so Lainey's going to challenge you and go to 10 here. And it's not that you aren't able or shouldn't go that full 10 reps, but you really have to pay attention to your body. What am I doing? What muscles am I using? Am I making that mind-body connection? And even if you don't know names of muscles, are you in the right region of the body? Think of it like a road map. The body is a road map, and what section of that map am I using? And what section am I not using? Good. I'll review the breath again. It's inhale, lift, exhale, hold. Inhale, lower, exhale, hold. And then remove that ball between the legs. Stretch it out. Great job. Really breathe into that top section of the body. Excellent. And then once you're ready, roll onto your belly with your elbows tucked tight. Press back onto your heels for a nice back stretch. Great. We'll give Lainey a little stretch out here. And then slowly curl your toes under and come into a standing forward bend. And just with soft bent knees, let your body hang here a little bit. And now slowly stack your spine. Head does not lead. Your core leads. Roll yourself up, vertebrae by vertebrae, and then roll into that functional extension. So let your pelvis almost unwind itself. As it moves forward, you wave back. Inhale, bend and extend your arms. For people that sit all day, we need to open up that hip joint. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Thanks, Lainey. Great job, you guys. So this is week 3. I want you to continue to work anywhere from 3 to 5 times this week with this practice. And if you feel like you want to vary it and go back to week 1 or week 2 and throw those in the mix, welcome to do that as well. We have a lot of work still ahead of us, so feel free, keep at it, work at it, be strong, work hard. I can't wait to see you again on the mat. Thanks for coming. Namaste.